Alex, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. After last week's performance, I'm sure the guys were pretty hyped up about it. How do you kind of get them in that mindset that, you turn right around, Penn State's coming up? How do you get them to kind of continue to try and aim to get better and better?
Well, and that's the goal, and it helped us again this week, having to start, on a Sunday because of the election day being off. It shortened the amount of time you usually get through a big win. So, we're back in here on Sunday, and kind of once we put the game to bed, we don't talk about it. We're on to the next one, and that's kind of how we've got to develop our team as we go through this, as I call, growth stage of our program, where we really try to concentrate on playing the next play, not worrying about results, but worrying about the process. And very similar to the same way we get rid of a win or get rid of a loss. That's how we got to approach getting rid of a win, and those protocols don't change. So that's part of maturing a little bit.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Go to Emily.
Hi. First, I was just curious on Chami and Joseph Bolatapelli. Are either of them able to play this weekend?
Joseph Bolatapelli is playing this weekend, and Chami is still a scratch.
Cool. And then I was just going to ask, from an overarching perspective, when you're rebuilding a program and kind of such a difficult division, what does that add to the process? And just in terms of maybe urgency to fix mistakes where, every weekend there's a really good team coming, and just what makes that unique?
Yeah, I mean, really, to me, it doesn't matter the division or the team. There's always going to be a sense of urgency, as we work through the growth phase of where we are in our program. I keep talking about the 52 to 56 new people that weren't here a year ago. You look at our travel roster and the guys that'll be heading to State College. I think we had 26 or 27 of those guys that'll be making the trip that have never making a trip or been to State College. So for us, it's about improving on a day-to-day basis. A lot of just continuing to coach guys through, that game experience, the mistakes, the adversity, all those things that we faced so far in 2 games with some of the young guys. Hopefully they're learning from those experiences. And it doesn't help the fact that we played Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, and, the Eastern Division, even, with Indiana on an uptick as a program. It doesn't get any easier for us. So good thing we don't play them all on one Saturday, and it allows us to really focus our energy on, and it's always going to start with what we do more than what our opponents do. And that's, to me, where we put a lot of our energy and a lot of our efforts into.
Do you feel like the ability to improve over the course of a season is almost greater because you have those 57 new faces who are all probably on a steeper learning curve than, a senior or junior?
Well, that's the expectation for us, as we start. It's year 2 if you look at the time, but if you look at the amount of time we've had away with the pandemic and the time we've missed, we're still really in year 1 of our program. And so, I'm looking at things macro to build for years to come and put on a really solid foundation. But at the same time, our staff and our players understand the immediacy necessary to grow them up quick. And, we've got a saying around here that if you're good enough, you're old enough. And we feel like we've recruited pretty well and brought the right kind of guys in. And now what we've got to do is try to get the consistency. That's usually the last thing to come with young, inexperienced players. And we saw the tale of the two games with the Northwestern game and the Minnesota game. And as I like to say, I hate it being Christmas every Saturday for us where we don't know what we're going to get. And so we're striving as a coaching staff to make sure our guys show up and do their jobs with the consistency that's needed to get the outcomes that we want.
Lila.
Hey, Lox.
Hey, Lila.
Tarheeb still did Tarheeb still did a really good job of containing Rashad Bateman last week. Just what are you looking to see from him in order to contain a guy like Jahan Dotson?
Yeah, obviously being a true freshman playing and started the last two games at the corner position. I've been really impressed with how he competes. It's something that he did in practice and earned the right to be a starter. Like you said, going against the top players in the country, not just in our league, and Bateman, and now the Dotson kid is really had a good game last week, and a guy that I know I'm very familiar with, having recruited him, a big-time player. So for us, it's really the whole secondary. Everybody has to do their part. Tarheeb is a guy, like I said, that's really, really competitive. He falls in that category that if he's good enough, he's old enough. And we love the energy and the way he approaches the game, because, one of the benefits of playing young players is sometimes they don't know what they don't know. And, he doesn't go out in awe, or, the stage hasn't seemed to be too big for him, just because he's one of those guys that shows up and worries about taking care of the business and using the technique and the fundamentals we teach. So I'm excited for him and his future. He's got a tough task this weekend with the receivers of Penn State and the quarterback they have, and we got our work cut out for us on back end defensively.
And with Sean Clifford, with Penn State without their, two top backs, he's played a lot more of a role in the run game. What have you guys emphasized with the team just in terms of, being able to stop him on the run more?
Yeah, he was a guy that last year had great success against us. He's a dual threat in every sense of the category. He has the ability to make plays with his feet. I know they've been a little banged up at the running back position, but the two running backs that they've got playing with them are both very capable of again, being big-time playmakers for them. Our goal, obviously, is to contain Sean Clifford, because as he goes, their offense goes. And, I know they're going to try to do what they have to establish some diversity in their offense, with being able to run the football and having seen the struggles we've had against the run in the first two games. We expect a heavy dose of it, and we've got to show up and prove that we can play disciplined defense and contain the run game, while at the same time doing our part on the back end to limit the big plays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Charla.
Hey there, Coach. How are you?
Hey, Charlotte, how are you?
I'm good. We've all seen players have bad games and good games, but to see a guy like Talia bounce back the way he did last Friday, what did that show you about what he's capable of in his mental toughness and what he's able to do? Because it's really difficult to be able to put all of that behind you and then come out and have that kind of game.
Yeah, I think mostly because of my intimate knowledge and relationship with Leah, and knowing what he's all about and how competitive he is, and really how tough he is on himself. Again, I'm not surprised and wasn't surprised by how he responded to the first game. For me, it was more of making sure that he didn't allow one game to lead to a second bad one, and which sometimes happens with young quarterbacks and young players. And, no one can be a heavier critic on him than himself. And, that's what I like as a coach in coaching Leah, is that I sometimes have to maybe go in from the, Dr. Phil approach with him to make sure that he's not having the negative self-talk with himself or overreacting, beating himself up, and just really just stick to the process of how you prepare to go out and play a game at a high level. And we were able to get him back pretty quickly. He was disappointed. I know he put a lot on himself after how he played in the first game. But, as I said after the game last week, I wasn't as shocked with how he played against Minnesota, but more so how he played against Northwestern, just because that's not what he had shown in practice. That's not what he had shown in our ramp up to the start of our season. And we all know and have the utmost confidence of how he's capable of playing. And I think, we all kind of saw it under the lights here at the Shell last week. And now the goal is to get consistent play out of him like that and for the rest of the year.
And being in that quarterback role, they're always going to be a leader on the team, but he's a younger guy. And how have you seen him in these last few weeks stepping up to be that leader that offense needs?
Yeah, his personality is one that everybody gravitates to him. He's a humble servant leader where his goal is to be really a distributor of the football. And from the day he got here on campus, including through the competition with Lance, he's been one of those guys that everybody on the team is respected because of how he works, and they know that he's going to give everything he's got. Every day he steps on the field, whether it's in practice or games. So that's been an easy transition for him. It's a natural position, one that, as I talk about the type of toolbox he has, I mean, he's been doing this for a long time. And if you look at the success he's had as a high school prep player and then, playing played in 6 games as a freshman at Alabama, not starting, but being able to go in, not surprised, but definitely has been one of the leaders. And as we tell people around here, you don't have to be a vet to be a leader. You just got to be a guy that has a positive impact on others. And he's proven that in his short time here, that he has positive impact on his teammates.
Jacob.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Hey, Jacob.
So you've talked about earlier in the last press conference, Penn State, despite their record, is still a very talented team. And defensively, Shaka Toney is the tone setter for them up front. So watching on film, what allows him to be such a tremendous disruption in both stopping the run and sacking the quarterback as well?
Well, I think it's his speed to power. He's one of those guys. I think they've got 2 really elite edge rushers, which will be a great challenge for, our tackles, Jalen Duncan and Spencer Anderson. But, with Toney, he's a guy that has great length, his speed to power, which enables him to play firm against the run and be disruptive as a pass rusher. And definitely one of those guys that when you put the tape on, you've got a game plan against him and minimize his ability to wreck your game plan. And so we'll have to do some unique things in our game plan to ensure that he doesn't wreck our plan as we try to attack and the things we want to do to try to be productive on offense.
And building on that, you talked to us during the offseason just about how confident you were in the offensive line group, and they played really well through the first 2 games. So what has impressed you most about that unit through the first 2 weeks so far?
Well, I think the cohesion and the communication, definitely a plus getting Johnny Jordan back in the fold with us. And like I said, the move of Marcus Minor, who started every game at right tackle last year for us, going in the guard, and and the addition of Jahari Branch, and just the high level that Jalen Duncan and Spencer Anderson are both playing at. And so, as I said before, it's probably the most improved group on our team. We did make it a point of emphasis on the things that, we're how we finished last year and giving up sacks, and our inability to, protect our quarterback was a premium for us. And through 2 games, I've been really pleased with it, with those guys up front, especially with the tackles and how they progressed in short time. But, they're still redshirt sophomores, so I still think there's more that we can get out of them. And our goal is to keep pushing and prodding those guys to play at a high level.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to Ed.
Mike, in terms of Taulia's ability as a dual threat quarterback, do you view him as a pass first guy or a run first guy?
Well, he's a pass first guy. I mean, when you throw for 14,000 yards as a high school quarterback, I think that kind of says it all for the type of production and his experience in the passing game. But I do feel like, other guys that have done what he's able to do, he offers a diverse skill set in that if you aren't sound in how you contain them and rush the passer, he is athletic enough to make plays with his feet. And I think those are the types of quarterbacks that really put pressure on defenses. And, I'm glad we've got him on our team.
With that in mind, then, is there a part of you that at times wants him to tuck the ball and run more often?
Well, I know coming out of the Northwestern game, that was one of the points of emphasis, is that if guys aren't open and things aren't there, then use your feet, which he's very capable. And as you can tell, he's definitely well-versed at using his feet to extend to throw. But then if you cover, he also has the speed and the ability to make plays running the football. So coming out of the Northwestern game, having forced some of the balls down into trouble, that was definitely one of the points of emphasis was that, look, I mean, if they're not open, there were obvious opportunities in that game for him to push up in the pocket, go run and make a play. And, for whatever reason he didn't, but I thought last week he did a better job of attacking the defense with both arm and feet and then extending plays in the passing game while also making some plays running the ball.
And when he takes off, do you and Scotty coach him to slide or run out of bounds to lessen his exposure to potential hits?
That's always the rule. I mean, he actually slid in the game when he was in front of the defense last week, which that's not part of how we like to do it. He got out in front of the defense and wound up sliding, and that's one of the ones where we want him to finish the run. But anytime he can help himself and minimize taking any extra shots, we want to use the slide, step out of bounds to avoid, obviously, exposing himself to unnecessary contact.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
We'll take two more. We'll go to Daniel.
Hey, Coach. How's it going?
Hey, Daniel. How are you?
I'm good. So overall in the Big Ten, I mean, I'm sure you know what's going on at Wisconsin with their COVID outbreak. I want to know, has that affected the way that you've been running your day-to-day here at Maryland?
I mean, we've been under intense protocol from the time we returned after having been paused. There's some time in, late July when we were paused as an athletic department. And, as I tell our team and tell anyone that'll listen, I mean, every day I'm crossing my fingers and cautiously optimistic that I don't get the phone call of a positive test or an outbreak to where, we're wiped out. And so I know our players have been really diligent in their behavior modification. We keep preaching and pleading with our guys to be really smart with how they do their business and making sure that they're wearing their mask, they're limiting their contact in big groups and where they go and who they're around. And right now, I'm just knocking on wood. We've been really lucky. I hope that and I hope it continues.
Right. And you mentioned the Big Ten protocol, but has what happened at Wisconsin now affected the way you think of the protocol? Like, have you lost faith in the protocol because of it?
No, not at all. I mean, I think, again, I don't know the ins and outs of their situation. I know that we've faced some positive antigen tests that have come back and been negative. We've had positive antigen tests that have turned out to be positive from the PCR testing. So just very fortunate. And again, knocking on wood that, we've been able to be careful and get through it. But, nobody is immune from being able to, stay out of it, but we're doing everything we can to ensure our players understand how to try to mitigate it as much as possible.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
For our last one, we'll go to Ahmed.
Hey, Coach. You mentioned Boltapelli comes back this week, and I remember you noting gap integrity for the defense following week one. Obviously, for the defense kind of turned it around last week, but I'm kind of curious to see how you feel the defense has kind of improved in that aspect, kind of staying true to their assignments, and also want to see if Frankie Burgess is available this weekend.
Yeah, having Boltapelli back helps. An experienced guy that's a transfer and has the size, the strength, and the skill set that we need on the edge. I've been pleased with the interior parts of our defense, but we haven't been really good on the edge. And, I'd venture to say that we haven't played consistently well. I thought the fourth quarter we were opportunistic on defense and played more to my liking against the run when we had to get the ball back from Minnesota. And the way we've tried to do it is obviously we've added numbers to the box, which now it puts a little pressure on our secondary to have to play man coverage on the back end and limit the big plays in the passing game. But I'm hoping that we can build off of how we played defense in the fourth quarter against Minnesota. Getting Boltapelli back is definitely a plus for us. And then Frankie Burgess is available for the game on Saturday.